instead of staying over here where they belong is because they're reading your DNA, and your DNA is screwed up. And your DNA is saying, go over there instead of stay here. So inside of a human body, there are other people, if you wish to call them that, who are plotting things, planning things, and going to act these things out, regardless of what you think. And you know what's going to happen then? When they do what they do, then your thinking is going to change. Totally. All of a sudden, you're going to wake one day, and when I say you, I'm not. But all of a sudden, somebody then wakes one day, and somebody goes to a doctor because they don't quite feel well. Why? Because other things inside of you decided on something that you had nothing to do with, and it made you sick. So you're not the only one inside of that body thinking. And when they decide on something different for you, then the doctor said, well, I hate to tell you this, but what? What the heck how could this happen? Because some other living entity inside of your body decided to do something. And the reason that that living entity inside of your body decided to do something was because you have a DNA and it's A, B, C, D, but in there it was A, B, F, C, and the cells read this instead of reading that, and so they went over here when they should have stayed here, and it screwed everything up. So now, the scientists are finding out all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute. You know how we can heal this cancer? You know how we can heal this Alzheimer's? You know how we can heal this diabetes? Let's do this. Let's find out how we can reboot this thing. Did you ever reboot a computer? Computer doesn't work. It's all screwed up. Everything, hey, what the heck is this? I can't get this to work. I'm hitting the thing. Shut it off. And you shut it off and turn it back on again. It's fine. So let's do something, because the cells are reading this and thinking that they should be here when they shouldn't be here. Let's get rid of this. Let's clean it out. You see, when you went to church when you were a little kid, they used to say everybody's born with original sin. You know what it is? It's screwed up DNA is exactly what they were talking about. They didn't know they were talking about that, but that's what they were talking about, mutant DNA. So we'll get rid of that. And now not only will the disease stop, because these cells will stop multiplying, and they'll say, whoa, wait a minute. We shouldn't be over here. Let's get back where we belong. And that's the end of that. So this is what they're finding, and these are the wonderful things. So we want to start to flow in a harmony, because the reason that the scientists are finding all this stuff out is that they are having gates in their brains opened by light coming from above. And it's opening the gates and giving them understanding. So we focus then on, let's focus on the pineal gland of the brain, because that is the place, that is the light receptor of the brain. And that's why I encourage you to come out in meditation, for your children's sake. I mean, you want your kids to have, you want you to have this. This is the time to do it. And I would suggest you come out of here. You come in, this room gets absolutely pitch black. And when it's pitch black and dark in here and the sounds, you then focus on the pineal gland. It opens and you receive the angels of light to change what must be changed and to correct what must be corrected. But the point is, and you have a right to ask me this question, is it possible to do that? Let me just show you something from Dr. Alfred Louis, which was taken from the New York Times in overhead 283. And in overhead 283, if you could, Al, if you could just focus on this. In my briefcase, there's that little gray thing that I use for the, okay. But anyhow, here, this is pineal gland hormone can reset the body's clock. And what it says here, after traveling through nerves in the spinal cord, the signal reaches the pineal gland. In the absence of light, the gland begins the production of melatonin. Darkness stimulates production of the hormone melatonin. Production is abruptly suppressed in bright light. Thank you. Okay? So this, and look what it said, understanding the hormone of darkness. And so when we have meditation then on Tuesday night, the room is absolutely dark. So we went through several scientific articles last week, if you remember, which basically said the same thing, namely that the pineal gland is active in the absence of light. It is the body's time clock, and it functions via the two physical eyes, leaving it up to you as to when you choose to activate it, other than when it does it by itself when you sleep at night. So the evidence was very conclusive, I think. So it appears that the pineal gland of the brain is suppressed by bright light. It appears that it's not active in the light. Another word for the pineal gland, and you can look this in a scientific Stedman's Medical Dictionary, the pineal gland is known by another word which people in religion are very familiar with. The pineal gland is also known as epiphysis. In religion, we have holy days called Epiphany. It means enlightenment. If you look in Stedman's Medical Dictionary, you'll say pineal gland, it tells what it does. It says also KKA, epiphysis. If the pineal is epiphany, if the pineal is the pineal that Jacob referred to in Genesis 32, if it is the single eye that Jesus referred to, then wouldn't it seem reasonable that when meditating to make contact with the supreme light being you know as God, one would stimulate it when it was most energetically reacting, which would be in darkness. So what is interesting about this is the fact that the light, which is God, according to the Scriptures, is darkness. The light and the dark are the same thing. In order to see the light, you've got to activate the pineal, because the light that you're going to see is invisible and can't be seen.